This could be any town, anywhere. Does this look like your hometown? Life is good in most modern urban centers, but we can still ask questions. Like, what can be done to manage our communities better? And what can communities do to improve people's lives? Think about it. What do you want your community to do for you? And what can you do to help your community create a better future? When we look at all the public services a modern city provides, like daycare, schools, seniors' homes, business licenses, transportation, and communications, it's easy to see that communities take care of everyone from birth till death. State and provincial and federal governments don't do as much for people as communities do. It's estimated that communities provide 40% of all public services, while national governments provide only 20% of public services. According to these estimates, federal governments are overfunded, while communities are starving for cash. What does this mean for you and me, and how can this problem be fixed? Viewed as a financial pyramid, this government financing model shows the federal government receives almost 50% of our taxes, while delivering an estimated 20% of our public services. According to these estimates, the national government gets 50% of our tax money to do 20% of the work. If we think the federal government is overpaid for what it does, and community governments are underfunded, we might well ask, what can we do about it? It's a good question, and there is an answer, for the national tax funding formula can be renegotiated. There is a legal precedent for sharing income tax points. Income taxes were introduced as a temporary war tax in 1917 to finance the First World War. After the war ended, the federal government assumed that it has a continuing monopoly on income taxes, but it doesn't. In the Depression-era 1930s, Canadian provinces legally sued Canada for a fair share of income tax revenues. Now the provinces receive 30% of all income taxes. The time has come for communities to receive a fair share of income taxes, maybe up to 40%. If you could vote on how much of your taxes should go to your community and how much to the nation, how much of your tax dollar would you like to send to your community? Whatever formula is used, communities are legally entitled to request a fair share of income tax revenues. The rest should be easy, a few public referendums, a constitutional change or two. Perhaps in our lifetimes we shall see community income tax points. Would you rather pay your taxes for local public services like schools or national public services like national defense, security, police, and prisons? Put simply, would you prefer to use your taxes for public transit or warplanes? For people who love the communities we live in, it's obvious. We would rather spend our tax dollars in our communities. But at this point, the federal government has all the money, and the federal government claims to have a monopoly on our tax dollars. One solution is for everyone to sue the federal government for a constitutional right to allocate our income tax dollars. Then simply write 2 checks at tax time, 20% to the feds and 40% for local government. As long as we pay our taxes, we should be able to tell it where to go and how our tax dollars should be spent. And what kind of world could it be if communities were fully financed? Just imagine, subways instead of soldiers, and twice as many daycare centers, half as many royal commissions, and snow removal on every street. Enough school teachers to keep local economies humming, and mayors who earn more than federal Port Authority managers. What can you and I do to vote for a better future, where local municipal governments have enough money to do all the work required for managing modern urban centers? The question is, can we vote to send our tax dollars to communities instead of maintaining a federal monopoly on income taxes? The only way to know what's possible is to try it. Send your vote today to your mayor and prime minister. Tell them you want to send 40% of your tax dollars to your community government instead of to the federal government.